Now, who likes sports series? Whoops. Who likes sports series? Yeah, I love sports series a lot. Ping pong, love giant killing, Jimmy no Ippo. Haven't actually watched the squash. I don't really want to watch Mekas playing basketball. If anyone can recognize this is from the creator of Seven Deadly Sins. It's what he made before it. Wasn't very good, never got scanned, it got canceled. I actually like 3. Well, now it's pretty great. This is Ori Monogatari if you didn't recognize it, and this is Afro Luffy down here. Also, I haven't read or watched Inazuma 11, but I kind of wanted because of Chisako's stand. Now, next question. Who likes cute anime girls? Yeah, you're at a con, everyone has to put up their hand if you're lying if you don't at least appreciate the aesthetic of cute anime girls. Yeah, these are all adorable anime girls.
Wait, why is Rocky up?
Kuzi Splat is best girl. Nappa is best girl. Tanaka's sister is best girl. Akashi from the Tatami Galaxy is hands down best girl. Naruto's mom is best girl. This is best girl ever, by the way, in my opinion. I love her. Offering Crown's main character. I like Stockton. Toothbrush Sheen up there. Yeah. Also, this is best girl Nisekoi. Everyone else likes Nisekoi. Anyways. So, what if there's a manga out there that features... That is TQ. It's not TQ. It's Teppu. Has anyone read Teppu?
Yes.
This is Teppu. This is a seinen mixed martial arts manga by Oto Moari, which stars a bunch of buff girls. So now I know you're sold, so we're done with it here. I'm going to change. We're going to continue on. Now, Teppu kind of starts off kind of generic for a comedy, romantic comedy. It starts out with the main guy asking out the main girl. And then it becomes ungeneric right away. This is Ishido Natsuyo. She's a jerk, but she's a cool jerk. She's naturally amazing at any and all sports till she ends up being bored by a lot of the sports with her other strength. Kind of like a certain person I know. Now, one day, she meets a girl whose eyebrows rival that of Sasaki-sama's, who asks her to try out for the MMA club, and she does. And after she does, she sustains an injury, which means it was kind of hard for her, and she realizes how much fun this manga could be, or how much fun MMA fighting could be, and the rest is history. The fact that the series is all girls isn't the only thing that sets itself apart from other sports series. It's the realness of the characters that really drive it close to home, as they're doing mundane things once in a while. Also, the main character is a joy to watch and constantly on her journey through the world of MMA. Also, say also a bit too much, but whatever. The cast help make it very amazing, and the stakes always feel so high because of the backstories of a lot of the characters, similar to that of Jimmy no Ippo. And anyone that read Teppu knows this is best girl. Again, the girls are really cute, so look out, Mikasa Ackerman. There's another apt waifu in town, and this one actually has a personality, so...
Oh!
Apply burn heal.
Hanji's always best girl, we're talking about. Okay, another manga about martial arts. Kengan Ashura. Who's read this? Ooh, here we go. Let's do people. Sorry, my throat's getting sore. Now, this is about a dude who's really good at martial arts, and he makes his way through the world of martial arts despite not being very strong, but being very nimble and like small, but he's still pretty strong. Now, what sets itself apart from a lot of other sports series is that there's no like girl character that's all like, yeah, you can do it, bro, or like the kid that's all like, yeah. Instead, we get this middle-aged man who just freaks out at the sight of literally everything. It's stuff just like this. Only that he freaks out at, and it's the dynamic between these two which killed me because they actually have to become business partners. As I forget what the correct terminology is, but he basically just has to work with him and help him with his matches. Also, this is only recently translated, despite being out for a really long time, and I think it's because it actually was voted to get an anime recently, which is interestingly enough. Like, it was in the manga magazine, and the magazine was like, hey, who wants a manga? Or who wants an anime of these manga? And people vote for Kengan Ashura, which makes it so great. Okay, another one, oldie but a goodie. Gun M, or Battle Angel Alita. Who's read this? Yeah, I knew I'd hear some yeses in the audience.
What's the movie?
Never. No, it's getting a movie because they just talked about it. The director of Spy Kids is making it, or director, like actually. He also directed Sin City, so it might be good. It's might be good. James Cameron's helping it though, so yeah. The reason why we don't have an anime for this is actually because James Cameron has owned this manga for like a really long time, or the adaptation rights, because he like went to Japan one day, got drunk, and then saw it, and was like, oh, this is good, I'm gonna buy it. And it is good. It's about Alita, or Gally as people like to call it, I like calling her Alita more, about her rad adventure through space and the people she meets along the way and relationships with them. This is honestly one of the greatest universes I've ever seen, and there's too much plot to really talk about, but everyone who's read this knows the universe is great, with giant martial arts, space giants, and these cool vampires that existed on Earth apparently, but being on Earth, despite being a sci-fi series, makes it one of the best arcs. Yeah, this series has it all. Also, it's split into 3 different parts. Gun M, which is really serious and insane and is about just Alita figuring herself out. Gun M Last Order, which is kind of like a mainstream shonen tournament, which is kind of a weird transition, but it's still really good. And the most recent one, which is Kasei Senki, or Mars Chronicles, which anyone that's been reading that knows it's just pure tragedy at this point. Check them all out. It's good. Now, okay. Up next is what I like to call the ultimate historical seinen manga powerhouse trio, which consists of Kingdom, Vinland Saga, and Vagabond. Who's read any of these mangas? Yeah. Did I not buy enough candy? I'm sorry. What? Oh, steal some of the Monokumas. Kingdom, I'll be going through these in order, these are all amazing. Kingdom is a historical manga about the War and States period of China. It is almost entirely accurate, with the only liberties being really taken the fact that the horses and the people are like 10 feet tall. But to be fair, there's nothing in the history that says they weren't 10 feet tall. So, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, all these liberties taken don't contradict anything, and the whole manga is just one giant battle after another, and it's complex and interesting characters it's complex and interesting characters make it very engaging. Also, it's pretty long, being around 40 or so volumes right now, and the creator said he wants to make it to go like at least 100 volumes. So I'm looking forward to that because I really like this manga. If you like long things, check this out. Vinland Saga is a masterfully produced manga about Vikings. It depicts the rise of Canute the Great to power and the explorer Thorfinn's revenge plot against him. This is even more accurate than Kingdom, which really lends itself to being better because the characters are a lot more engaging and what they do make a lot more sense. And it's all about their trip, basically. There's no real be-all, end-all goal right now, in my opinion, but I think it'll end with them going to Vinland, which is America. What? Oh yeah, sorry.
It is currently being produced in America by Vertical Comics.
Yeah, it is. A lot of these mangas have been being published in English, too. I should have been talking about that. My bad. Kingdom hasn't, but Vagabond has, too, by Viz Media, so good on them. I'll have to be talking about that. I forgot about that. Now, Vagabond is based on the Eiji Yoshikawa novel Musashi, which is about the legendary samurai of Japan, Miyamoto Musashi, who may or may not actually existed, but there's tons of records of him existing, or there's tons of records of things he's done and stuff, and the manga basically depicts all that stuff really well. It also depicts the story of Sasaki Kojiro, his rival and the other greatest swordsman in Japan, who has less of a chance of actually existing because, like, I don't know, there's less records of things he's done and whatnot. And if you recognize the name Sasaki Kojiro, it's because it's this dude in Fate's Day Night. So yeah. All of these are super intense and gritty and insanely good reads. If you like Berserk or anything like that, definitely check these out. Also, another little fun tidbit, because of how historically accurate Vinland Saga and Kingdom were, they were selected to use as a learning tool for this corporation or foundation, the Nippon Foundation's new project, which they call. This is also a learning manga, the World Discovery Project. Now, so I guess it's true, manga can be used as history books. I guess a certain lesbian dinosaur monster was right. This wouldn't be a 2015 Youmacon panel without a Topical. Alright, folks. Okay. There's some controversy with the next one, so I'm just gonna... This exists. Not gonna say it. But there's better. Like this. But you know what's better than this? That? Log Horizon. You know what's better than that? Oh wait, no. Oh wait, no. Oh god, no. Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna talk about it. Oh god, no. What we will be talking about is Real Account. Who's read Real Account? I'm liking this person in the front. Real Account is my personal favorite trap in the game series ever, which is really not saying much, but it's still really good. So many. None of them are that good. I like Log Horizon though. Log Horizon's pretty solid. Digimon is way better though. I don't know that one yet. Now, everyone's familiar with the whole you die in the game, you die in real life sort of thing. So, in the world of Real Account, people are sent into this virtual world. Certain select people that have this app that's basically Twitter, and if you die in this virtual world, all of your followers die as well. That alone sold me on the manga. Yeah. And, oh yeah, by the way, not everyone's trapped in the game. The game's also being broadcasted to other people with the app, which I really like that aspect. Now, you may be thinking, well, why doesn't everyone just unfollow everyone? Well, they're allowed to, actually. But if your follower count drops to 0, it's game over. Now, so meaning basically you gotta make sure your mutuals you have a close enough bond with your mutuals so that you make sure that they'll keep you alive if you keep them alive, basically. This whole thing is a great. Sorry, I skipped the part. I love how the series toys with the emotions of the characters and how it uses the social media aspect very well. It has a great message too. It's not that social media is bad for you. You are a zombie if you use an iPhone, because I hate that. It more is about how people care a bit too much about social media, which I agree with, and how people are presented on social media. People make sure their Facebooks are pristine. They don't want to have any have people seeing crappy anime pages. No, I don't care about that. See my likes. And within this virtual world, basically they have to play a bunch of games that deal with a lot of their social media, and because in these games, you die, because of the concept of if you die in the game, all your followers die, they try to have the death toll really high, which it is. I also like how real, no pun intended, a lot of the concepts are behind this, the games. One game is try and get the most, basically retweets, and so the hot girl decides, oh, I'll just do this. Easy peasy. Also, this is the most adorable main bad guy I've ever seen in a manga. This is Marble. He basically trapped everyone in the game. And one thing that says as far about other real-life manga is that some scenes take place outside of the game, which I like. Also, this was published in Bisatsu Shonen magazine, I believe, yeah, for a while, which is a monthly, and then part 1 ended, and because it was so popular, it was changed to a weekly in just normal Shonen magazine. So there's a part 1 and part 2, so on Manga website, just you should read part 2. Also, it's getting an official release March of next year, so I'm going to be buying that, because it's great. And if you're wondering, part 2 is just as good as part 1, so yeah. Now, there's a manga that's basically the same as Real Account, but not as good, but I still like talking about it, and that is Kami-sama no Yutori. Yeah. And who's read this? Okay. Now, it's very similar to Real Account, because one day, this teacher's head explodes, and there is just a... I forget what those things are called. Darimas, thank you. And he plays a game of red light, green light with everyone, and if you move, you die. Yeah, it's also very similar because it was a monthly that got so popular it was then changed to weekly in the exact same 2 magazines with Real Account. And also, while the games aren't social media driven, they're more based off of the gods and mythos of various religions, specifically Japanese, trying to get the spell on this giant cat. And randomly there's just ice blocks falling, but going back with the mythos part, have to fight or play games with Kokeshi dolls and whatnot, and I really like it. There's also, again, Real Account part 2, so basically check out this. Ooh. Why are we in time? Okay. Now this next one I really like. Who's read this? Koe no Katachi, Silent Voice. Yeah. Alright, Candy? Okay, sorry. A bit too much. Sorry, I guess we're out of candy. Still raise your hands because I want to know what people have read and not. But yeah, I can say that for enough handy. Now, this is one of the saddest yet heartwarming stories I've ever read, and it is about a deaf girl and a kid who bullies her. Yeah, I know. But it's mainly about the main character's path of redemption and the blossoming romance between him and her, which sounds kind of cliche, but I think it's done really well. Since bullying and disabilities are a huge issue in Japan, this series was insanely hard to publish, just because of how harsh the reality of bullying is in it, and how well the series portrays it. Almost everyone bullies someone at one point in this manga, so even after the main character redeems himself with the main girl, it never stops being heartbreaking. Being only 7 volumes long, it's an insanely powerful. No, and it's getting a movie adaptation by Kyoto Annie, and the director of the K-On! Movie is directing it, and I hear the K-On! Movie is really good, so yeah. Also, because of its seriousness with bullying and how well it portrays, it was also adapted is also picked to be a manga with the Nippon Foundation's This Is Also a Learning Manga, the World Discovery Project manga, which is really great, so yeah. Going a bit more into it, what really,
So we'll be doing parts that didn't get recorded like this from now on. The real highlight of the series is basically the main character's struggle and what he has to go through, how he blocks everyone out of his life, and again, the struggle of what he has to go through. And honestly, even though he was a bully at the start, you can't help but feel really, really bad for him. But you feel bad for everyone in the end of this series. It's a sad series.
Okay, this next manga is also one of my favorites, and it is Binbogami Ga. Yeah, I love this one. Binbogami Ga is a hilarious, beautiful, semi-ecchi shonen. It's a story of a girl who has it all, from tons of money to being extremely athletic to having an ample bust, and a misfortune goddess who tries to steal all of her fortune energy away from her in hilarious Tom and Jerry-like antics. What really sells this series is the cast and how well they work off of one another, and especially, I know it's kind of with her. Yeah, and I also really like the pinup girl aesthetic with some of the covers. And also, it's God tier parodying things even better than that of Gintama, in my opinion. I love Gintama, though. With various cover pages like this, having references to Gray from Evangelion, 20th Century Boys back here. These are all Pikmin over here. Hell Teacher Nube. I love that. Cutie Honey, like, what even is that? I love it. Yeah, this manga is great. It also becomes pretty serious with fights later on, and the powers get really cool too, and it has fights that even rival that of Naruto or One Piece, in my opinion. As to why it's not very popular, it's probably, as to why it's not very popular, I don't actually have a reason for this, so never mind. Just more people should read it, it's really good. Also, it does this one cliche where every main character, every bad guy they fight basically becomes a good guy near the end, which I really like, so you don't be warned for that, but I love seeing all the people that they were once fighting teaming up with them and sharing out with them. It also has an anime, which is pretty solid, and ended with a trailer for season 2, and we're never getting that season 2, which breaks my heart, but whatever. They did a joke trailer too. And coming from the creator of this is actually a new manga too, called Sosei Onmyoji. Who's read this? Yeah. If you read Binbogami Ga, read this. If you read this, read Binbogami Ga. This is also pretty good. It's a story of 2 kids, one that wants to become an exorcist, or one that doesn't want to become an exorcist due to past tragedy in his life, and another exorcist who wants to be, or another girl who wants to become an exorcist because of a tragedy in life. Needless to say, a lot of them don't get along very well. It's pretty early on, so there hasn't been much going on in it, but it's been pretty solid, and I definitely recommend check it out. Yeah. This other pretty decent mainstream shonen is called Tri-Piece. Who's read Tri-Piece? Yeah. Now, yeah, these are all one. Tri-Piece is about a guy who one day wakes up with amnesia and ends up joining a group of activists who will stop at nothing to achieve world peace, even if it means they have to use violence. As cliched as that sounds, it handles it really well, and I really love the cast of characters and what they do throughout the series. Unfortunately, it wasn't that amazing, and I guess not very popular in Japan, because obviously it got canceled, because the last 2 or so volumes were really bad and rushed compared to the other ones. But besides that, I really like it. Now, other manga that got canceled and kind of had a rushed ending, another manga that was kind of canceled and had a rushed ending is Siren. Who's read Siren? What? Yeah, it got canceled. Like, it was even more, like, normally mangas are like, oh yeah, you have 5 weeks, wrap it up. This one was good enough where we're like, oh, you have 20 weeks, so yeah. So yeah, this is about basically people who travel to the future and use psychic powers to save the future. It's pretty cool. Now from the creator of Siren comes this new manga actually being published right now called Kagami Gami. So read this if you haven't and if you love Siren. This is about a Shikigami user and a girl who has the power to trace where things have been, who team up and become the ultimate detective duo and also participate in a bunch of Shikigami fights. It's really great. So these are both in Jump, and I love Shonen Jump. It's probably my favorite magazine. We have stuff like Assassination Classroom's great. I absolutely love One Piece. Toriko's underrated in my opinion. Itama's so good. Haikyuu, you know everyone's a fan of Haikyuu. World Trigger is generic but good, and not bad in my opinion. These kind of were bad so they got canceled. Not even scan-related. Has anyone read Disaster of Sai Psycho? I think that one's underrated. Yeah, that one's pretty good. This one's never going to get translated because it's just all Japanese jokes no one understands. But anyways, this picture takes us to my personal favorite and one of the longest mangas, or the manga we can probably talk about the most about in this panel, which is this one.
Yes!
Which is Boku no Hero Academia, or My Hero Academia. This is actually the main reason I made this panel, is because I want more people to know about this manga. Even though it is pretty decently popular, it's just I want more people to read it because I absolutely love it. I've been reading it since chapter 1 got translated, and I've just been loving it ever since. Now, if you want to know why it's, what it's about, how am I talking about? Oh, okay. It's basically Sky High the manga. If you're a fan of Sky High, the old Disney Channel movie, whatever, check this one out. Now, what I mean by being Sky High the manga is this. This is Midoriya Izuku. This is his best friend, Bakugo. He's busy beating him up at the moment. But, yeah, so, this is, sorry. He doesn't have powers, he does. This is a world where people have powers. This is a world where people have cool costumes and fight bad guys and powers like this. And in a world full of powers like this, wouldn't it suck if you were the one of the people of the 20% who didn't have a power? Wouldn't it suck if you were like that guy? It would. It would definitely suck, or it would especially suck if you were just a huge fan of heroes, especially as a young child, and always looked up to them and wanted to grow up to be one, and then one day you have to come to the doctor's office and find out that you just can't ever get a power because of, you just weren't born with one. You probably wouldn't take it very well. Now, even though the main character starts off with no powers, he doesn't, do anything, even though the series starts off with the main character with no powers, the series itself doesn't do anything stupid with it. He isn't able to compete with other people with no powers despite having no powers himself, which is stupid in my opinion. Or, even though he might have a power of not having the instinct or something, which I actually like this manga, by the way. And his power isn't super hidden and no one's ever seen it before, or canceling a power, which is dumb. And his power isn't the power to beat the bad guy, which is dumb. And his power isn't even having no powers, which... It's cooler that. It's actually one of my favorite, ways they handle this. So, one day, by chance encounter, he meets his all-time favorite hero, All Might. Yeah. And that chance meeting gave him the courage to basically become a hero, and he's then told by All Might that he can become a hero. Now, as ridiculous as that sounds, because, he doesn't have a power, how can he fight? Luckily for him, All Might has a power that, while All Might's power is being super strong, he's also has a secondary power of giving people other powers. And so, through hard work, a crap ton of determination, and a body like this, the main character is finally able to, have a power and, be able to compete with other people and be enlisted into a hero school, or hero academy, as I'd say. But there's kind of, the drawback of him, still getting hurt by his power because he's not fully able to obtain it or control it. I love this manga for so many different reasons. Mainly, the main character. He's great. Everyone who's read this knows Midoriya Izuku is one of the greatest main characters I've ever seen. When this girl just goes up to him, asking him a few questions and lures away, his immediate response is this. He gets all giddy seeing his first ever hero seeing an IRL hero for the first time, and he has tons of determination when people try to hype him up. But he also is still kind of a self-insert character because he's new to the world around him still, and he still reacts to it similar to how we would. I absolutely love the art in this manga too, and some of the designs are some of the, honestly the best I've ever seen. This dude whose power is explosions gets grenades on his hands, and this dude is all about flashiness, gets this stupid little flashy costume with lights and whatnot. And the powers are cool too, and how they use them too. Like this dude who basically has a stand that's a bird stand. I like it. Or how this dude who makes explosions does really well at a sports or like athletic test by using his exploding powers. Or how this dude's able to run really fast during the gym class by just shooting a laser off of his belly button and jumping across like this. And this is only from like the earlier chapters too. It's also really adorable. Or Midoriya Izuku's mom is also really adorable because he makes him his own hero costume. It's great. And being great is all I can say about this manga. I can just compliment this manga for like hours. I love it so much. All the characters are so fleshed out, and for being a school manga, like with a classroom, I have all the characters memorized. Maybe it's because they have powers, which makes it easier to memorize. But with series like GTO or Demon Kyoshi, I have like none of them memorized. This, like, they're all so unique and interesting. I love every character in this series, from this idiot who uses electric powers and then fries his brain cells with it, or this edgelord who you think is going to be all this Sasuke, like I said, edgelord kind of guy, but he ends up being a really well-developed character, kind of like that of Zuko from Avatar. Or this dude, this is literally Zuko, like look at his scars. Or this smug-looking guy who literally has the worst power ever, yet still somehow like is able to make it cool. And these two idiots down here have the exact same power, but try to feud over whose power is better because it's hilarious the whole way through. Now, you have no excuse not to read this manga. It's not very long so far, and it's really easy to keep up with, and every chapter each week feels like there's so much put into it, and I love it. Imagine if you're a fan of, or imagine if someone told you to read Hunter x Hunter back when it was only like 50 chapters, or read One Piece back when it was like this, and not like this. Or read Dragon Ball before it became Dragon Ball Z. It would be pretty cool in my opinion. Like, I know you can be like, oh yeah, I experienced it like episode by episode as a kid because there's airing on Toonami or something, but that you're not like experiencing the full like feel of just having chapter by chapter, it being new for you and everyone else in my opinion. And so as Hero Academia continues to grow as a series, I really hope it gets bigger and better, which it will, because it already has gotten bigger and better since chapter 1. And that like by chapter 300 or so, even past that, it'll be so big and different that like every step you made, or every week when you read a new chapter, you'll like look back and be like, oh, I remember when that character wasn't in here back then, and like that character wasn't here back then. People who have read One Piece or Naruto for a very long time know that feeling, in my opinion, and I love that feeling. And I hope it does get big, and it probably will, because it's selling pretty well in Japan and America. And hopefully one day we'll see just tons of Hero Academia cosplayers rather than the constant Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online, or Bleach cosplayers. This time, people who are cosplaying these Hero Academia cosplayers will be cosplaying something that's actually good. So yeah. I'm joking, I like Attack on Titan, but that's about it. New news, like literally from Thursday, Hero Academia is getting an anime. So. I have a bit too much of these. I got excited.
Are you using Internet Explorer?
No, this is... yeah, so I just hope a good studio gets it, and not Toei. No, I really hope Toei does it. Okay, other manga that are new and recent in Shonen Jump, Hinamaru Zumo. Who's read this? Also, we're winding down the panel right now, but yeah. Hinamaru Zumo is great. So yeah, we're talking about a few more other manga, and then basically the panel's over. Hinamaru Zumo is great. It's about a young boy who's trying to become the greatest sumo wrestler ever, basically, despite his height, which is short, and the disadvantage of the sport being not very popular. The series masterfully produced the intensity of a sumo match, and actually the devastation that comes with losing one. Pick up the series if you want some good, more great sports series. As for why it's not very popular, probably because it's pretty new and it's not a sports series that features sexy young boys like Haikyuu or Kuroko or just real men stuff. I like it. Another main shonen that's pretty recent recently is Black Clover. Yeah. It's not as good as Hero Academia, not as popular, but it's still pretty solid. And despite being really generic, it's about a main character who has a rival, and main character also has a power no one else has, which is kind of stupid. But I think it does it really well, and while the first two chapters honestly aren't that good, it definitely has ramped up lately, and I hope it keeps on ramping up soon, or I hope it keeps on ramping up and up, so it gets really good later. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see how good it'll get. Another new recent manga in Shonen Jump is, I'm not saying that out loud, but it's called Straighten Up, Welcome to the Shikai's Competitive Dance Club. This is a dancing manga. Who's read this? Yeah, there we go. This is about two freshmen who join a dance club, and it's super cute. And they go to dance competition, They dance to music by Michael Jackson, One Direction, and even Frozen in the first chapter, which I find amusing. And also the image I used earlier that was this is from this manga. I also like how genre savvy it is sometimes, and I give it props for that. And I also give it props for being demonstrating anxiety pretty well. It's like use of emotions in the faces and whatnot. Another manga that's come out recently that's pretty good is Enen no Shoto ga, or The Fire Brigade of Flames. Who's read this? If you don't recognize the art style immediately, this is actually from the creator of Soul Eater. It's what they're doing right now. This is about firefighters fighting fires. By fires, I mean people who spontaneously combust into fire people. Like, as ridiculous as that sounds, think about the concept of Soul Eater. That's pretty ridiculous too, so yeah. It's new, it's recent, it's kind of going a bit too many, like, I think it's trying to do a bit too much this soon, but I hope it slows down a bit so it can be really good. Another manga that I'm going to talk about that isn't even out yet, but I know will be good.
Here I talk about Platinum End, which is from the creator of Bakuman and Death Note, which were both amazing manga, so obviously the third thing that duo is going to make is going to be great. And this joke, I made a joke about like, oh, it's not even out yet, but it's going to be great, only worked that day because it came out scan-laid the next day, which I find hilarious. So yeah, it's really good. It's already out, so I can confirm it's really good. Like, check it out. It's less like Reverse Eye, like I was expecting to be, and more like just Death Note again, but not in a bad way. And it's also not in an edgelord way, too. It definitely feels like it's going to be funner. And the Ryuk of the series is definitely a lot cuter than previous Ryuk, so check it out. This is the part of the panel where I plugged all my stuff, my anime list and my Tumblr. I basically did it here because the next things I'm going to be talking about are kind of turn-offs to a lot of people, which is the ecchi genre. So yeah, I just want to put it here so people could leave if they really feel like learning about ecchis. But why wouldn't you? Because these are all great ecchis. I start with the classy ecchis, obviously. Yeah, a list of everything I reference visually, like visual gags here are... There's a list of all that. It's on my Tumblr. Look up Youmacon 2015 tagged. It's tagged that. And then my list will find everything I talk about. Or everything I like go in depth about because of obvious reasons. I read the stuff. Okay, so the first of the ecchis is this pretty classy one, which is Half and Half by Seo Koji, who you may recognize as the author of Fuka, Suzuka, and Kimini something something something. I haven't read those mangas yet. Should be. Whatever. This is about two people who die at the same time and are given 7 more days of life by God. And then they must agree among themselves at the end of that 7 days who will truly die. They can also feel what the other is feeling, both like physically and emotionally, so they're forced to have a bond closer than any other bond they've had before, or any other 2 sets of characters have had before. It also gets pretty lewd at times, given its premise of like similar body feelings. That's basically how the way they figure out that they have similar body feelings is lewd. It's funny too, but yeah. But it's all done generally pretty classy, and it's very sad near the end and gets very emotional. Sad and emotional with classy ecchi is what you can say about the next series too, which is Boku wa Mari no Naka, or Inside Mari. One day, this is about Neat, who wakes up one day in the body of a girl he occasionally sees at like the local dollar store, I guess 7-Eleven. And this isn't no Freaky Friday sort of deal, because when he goes to visit his like body, she's not in the body. It's still him. So he's trying to figure out why there's basically 2 of his mind whys and why he's in this one girl. It's not ending yet, or hasn't ended yet, so we don't really know why either. And if you recognize the author name, it's because it's from the creator of Flower of Evil. Going more into about the actual story of it is that it's all about the girl, or the main character in the body of the girl, and how she finds out, or how this Neat inside her finds out more and more about the girl and people around her, and it just keeps on getting deeper and heavier. Again, it's kind of lewd, but that's what you'll expect from a gender bender. Speaking of gender benders, this is Boku Girl. It's very trashy. I had to censor the cover page of the first chapter because it's so trashy. This is about a very feminine guy who gets turned into a girl by Loki, who is this lowly that you can see riding on the back of the main character right here. No one really notices the difference because he was so feminine. Like, this is him as a guy. This is him as a girl. And it's funny. It makes it really uncomfortable at times, too, with like how the characters react with this main character becoming a girl. But again, it's done pretty well, and like honestly not that weird, and It's just utter trash though, so just be warned. Yeah. Now this next one is one of my also personal faves, and it is Molester Man, or Chikan no Toko. I didn't call it Molester Man at the panel because I didn't want to draw attention to how un-18 plus it was. Now, this is about a man named Molester Man, who gets accused of molesting a girl named Misunderstanding. Like, that's her name. It's a bad joke. Now, he's not actually a molester, despite being named this, and that's because this is actually based off of apparently real-life events that someone told about on 2channel, and then the names are all changed, obviously, to protect the innocent. Like, no one has actual names in this. They're all just, like, kind of pseudonyms and nicknames. But anyways, this author right here decided to draw it all, and it was amazing, and it got published, and it's really good. It has an insanely good narrative, first off. Like, that's the best part of it. And I love how it constantly parodies things with its narrative. Like, right here, you can see Aizen from Bleach. There's also a whole ensemble. Like, the narrative isn't just from one point of view. It's, like, from multiple ones. Multiple people inside his brain, basically, trying to figure everything out and how he does everything. And again, the parodies don't stop coming. Like, one of the people in his brain is just Doraemon for no reason. Also, this is an amazing reaction image. Now, this next one is from the same artist, but different author, and it is Onani Master Kurosawa, which translates to Masturbation Master Kurosawa. Now, this is about an edgelord. It kind of starts off like a parody of Death Note, getting caught for doing something he shouldn't be doing, and that is masturbating in the girls' bathroom after school. The girl that catches him hates all the other girls and basically goes, "Hey, I won't tell anyone if you just masturbate in a bunch of other girls' clothing." And he does, and I don't really want to go more in depth about what happens because it's all really sad and really heavy, but it will give you feels for days. And you can say the same about Molester Man, because both have an insanely good narrative and truly captivate what it means to be a loser with no friends. Both of the series make you want to root for the main character, but at the same time not, because of how much of a scumbag he seems to be. And then you realize he's really not much different from you, and you would kind of do similar things, and given his scenario, or given the situation he has. Also, I made a mistake here. Molester Man did not come out in 2014. It came out in 2004, so whoops. Yeah, both are amazing. Both will give you feels for days. Also, if you recognize the artist and author, it's the dude who made the Dance Club manga. So he went from making doujins on 2chan to being published in friggin' Weekly Shonen Jump. I think that's a pretty great leap. Here I introduce Murcielago and talk about how it's a blend of two of the finest genres out there in manga.
Yuri and horror. Don't watch Sakura Trash or read Sakura Trash. Don't read Uzumaki. Uzumaki's god tier.
Yeah.
Read this. Don't read this. And because of that, this is about our main character, who was once a giant, or someone who killed tons of people and is psychopathic. Her hobbies include dating gay girls and pretending to be a guy online and hooking up with straight girls in real life. And then, as the straight girl sees that, oh, she's not actually a guy, she still somehow convinces them to go out with her, and then she ends up dating them as well, because that's pretty impressive, if you ask me. And it also stars this girl, this kawaii moe blob that has to watch over her, making sure she doesn't kill everyone. This series is basically about like them tracking down psychotic killer after psychotic killer, and it's great. I can't really show you any of the deaths or any of the other weird scenes because 18 isn't 18 plus panel, but her, who I forget the name of because I'm really bad with names, has some of the best chibis I've ever seen. I pulled up a random chapter. There were this many chibis, like this many chibis in a random chapter. She's chibi more than she's not chibi. There's no reason. Okay. This exists. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Look it up. Viewer discretion is very advised with this one. It's funny and good, but I can't even talk about what it's about at this point. Okay. Also, Ajin is pretty good. If you like Ajin, read it. The end. That's hard for real life if you can recognize it. So yeah, read it.
That was a panel. This is the end song. Hope you enjoyed my panel. It was fun to make, even though I kind of messed up a lot because I was nervous and my throat hurt from the Crush 40 concert the night before. Anyways, we're done here.